Hello, everybody. My name is Chris.
I'm Jared.
And we are currently two students who study together, but we thought we'd try doing a new podcast with a unique spin on current events and pop culture and entertainment and just our general thoughts on things that are happening in the world. And today, to give it a shot, we don't have a title for our podcast just yet.
Working title.
Yeah, working title. That could be a good title.
Yeah, actually could
Yeah. But right now we're just gonna give it an audio only try. We may transition to video in the future, but this is a good first shot. So first item of our podcast will be Game of Thrones. Jared, are you a fan of Game of Thrones?
I am a fan.
Yeah?
I've been a fan not since day one, probably since year two. First time I watched the show, I thought it was the dumbest show in the world. And then I was watching the show actually when I was packing, moving from Dallas to Arkansas, and I was kind of watching the show in the background. And of course, anyone who knows Game of Thrones knows that's not a show that you can like casually watch.
Sure.
And so I remember like right before I moved to Dallas or to Arkansas, I got to the last episode of season 1, and all of a sudden I see Daenerys and like 3 baby dragons. I was like, what the fuck just happened? So like I restarted it all from the beginning. Ever since then I've been hooked.
Right, so the dragons are what
Yeah.
piqued your interest.
Yeah, I guess so.
What was it about the show that just wasn't interesting to you when you first started in season 1?
What was
not?
it?
Yeah, why did it not tickle your fancy?
I think there was just so many characters in the beginning first, so it was kind of hard to keep up with. The accents was kind of hard.
Yeah.
So just like a trick that I had was I watch the show with subtitles now, even though I have perfect command of the King's English, but I have to watch the show with subtitles. I probably wasn't the biggest sci-fi fantasy fan a few years ago, but with shows like Game of Thrones, Lost, I've become a huge sci-fi fan over the past few years. So, Game of Thrones is kind of a hard show to really kind of get the sci-fi on the first try, but it's a good show.
But one could say the same thing about Lost, right? There's a lot of characters. The story gets more convoluted as time goes by.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think the battle scenes in Game of Thrones definitely turned me on. And
would you say that about the most recent battle scene? The Battle of Winterfell.
Well, so storyline aside, because I'm a fan of the Night King. So if I look at
we'll get into that.
If I look at execution, the show was way too dark for me, so it was hard to really see. And like I even went back and the first time we watched it was at the theater in our apartment complex, and so I thought maybe it was just that TV and the lighting was kind of bad on that TV. But like the day or two later, I watched it on my TV, back home, perfect, 4K.
Oh, you watched it again, Jared?
Yeah,
you traitor.
4K television set,
Where's the solidarity?
The show was that battle scene, The Long Night, was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like literally, it was hard to watch. It was so dark.
Yeah.
And so that kind of took away, I thought, a little bit from the episode. But overall, it was a decent battle scene.
Got it. Okay, so let's kind of get into this. Game of Thrones. Today it's May 10th of 2019, so we are most of the way through the final season of Game of Thrones. Yep. And some stuff has been happening. What are some general thoughts that you've had on the season so far?
For the season as a whole?
Yeah, the season as a whole.
It's been an up and down season, I thought. So I like it probably more than other people that I've talked to, and more than just some of the general postings that I've read. But let's see, I'm trying to think. It started off slow. I think the first 2 episodes were definitely slow.
Sure.
So I think episode 2 was the episode before the big battle.
Sure.
So you had this episode where everyone was just kind of standing around the fireplace, kind of drinking. It felt like
two episodes of that. 2 hours out of 6 wasted.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it wasted because it definitely served its purpose. But I think when you put in the context of we've had to wait 2 years for Game of Thrones, because like Game of Thrones, like the last season was when we first came to business school.
Yeah.
August of 2017. So we basically had to wait 2 years. So you kind of expect.
I would say honestly though, those 2 episodes serve the same function. The episodes 1 and 2 of this new season, where it's kind of building up to the Battle of Winterfell and kind of showed how the characters were thinking and kind of showed their arcs up to until that point. I didn't think we need 2 episodes to display that. I thought it was a bit overkill, and honestly, to fast forward a little bit, I thought the Battle of Winterfell was a little disappointing. So I've actually been kind of let down by.
Why is that about the battle?
I'd say so. One, like you mentioned earlier, it was pretty dark. Hard to say what was actually happening. Second, I felt like the stakes weren't that high. There were multiple scenes where there were a bunch of White Walkers surrounding a particular character. You'd think, oh man, they're definitely gonna bite the bullet.
Yeah.
And then the camera cuts away. A few minutes later, it cuts back to this character. They're fine. Like I think Samwell Tarly should have died like 5 times throughout that episode.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And Grey Worm, he was in the very front lines hitting the White Walkers. I thought for sure he was dead. He was like covered in them.
Yeah.
And yet, he was fine as well. I thought, just overall, as much as this battle had been built up over the seasons, not that many casualties happened, and I just thought
there were some convenient escapes. I felt like every time you thought someone's gonna die, then Dany comes on her dragons and saves Jon Snow, right? Or you think Bran's gonna die in the end, Arya jumps out of a tree. I'm still trying to figure out where she came from.
Where did she come from? How did the zombies not see her?
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. Yeah, so I think there were definitely some leaps in the battle, which is why. So I guess I just kind of going into the Night King. Like I was rooting for the Night King. I want him to take.
Why are you rooting for the obvious antagonist in the show? It's not even a character.
I don't know.
It's blunt force.
I like destruction. So let me see what I was trying to say.
It's like a blue Darth Maul.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. It's like to me, it felt like you've put 8 seasons building up to the Night King and his march towards King's Landing, and all of a sudden, just like that, he dies.
Yeah.
So I happen to believe that maybe we haven't seen the last of the Night King.
He's dead, man.
Maybe not in the Game of Thrones show, but they're working on a prequel right now. They're working on like 5 other spin-offs.
Oh god.
So like, how can you have this major character, this major theme of like, what's the saying, like, what's dead may never die, or something like that, right? And then all of a sudden he's just gonna die like that. I think you'll probably see the Night King come back at some point.
That would be incredibly disappointing storytelling. Anyways, so let's get into the characters here. So Jon Snow. What have you been thinking of his character arc so far? Like the big reveal that he's was it Rhaegar or Aegon? Targaryen.
Aegon Targaryen. He's the son of one of the Targaryens and sister of Ned Stark.
Can I just say that I've been, they built him up as this character who was supposed to defeat the Night King, if I recall. My memory of the last few seasons is a bit hazy, but if I remember correctly, all the narrative structure was pointing to him as the one who would defeat the Night King. And out of nowhere...
No, because I think it was prophesied by Melisandre that Arya would kill a blue-eyed person. Right.
That was like one line in like a season, season 2 or 3. But I mean, I mean, like Jon has been seen as kind of the lead character, the lead male character who's like the warrior.
Right.
He's had brush-ins with the Night King before. He's had the most interaction with the Night King, so the emotional stakes are kind of there. And yeah, I felt like giving Arya that kill was just kind of out of nowhere, out of left field.
That's a whole other issue in itself. That I've learned about. Apparently, there's some people who question the legitimacy or the reasonableness of a little girl killing the Night King.
Okay,
we might want to take that subject for a different day, but I don't know. Just when on your own time, look up the Mary Sue on Google. Just Google Mary Sue.
Got it.
And it's the whole concept of this. So.
Like an infallible female character,
yes,
right? Got it. Okay. Yeah. I'd agree. I think. Okay, so let's move on to Arya. So Arya, I think I was a little confused by her character for the most part. There was that whole season-long arc where she was training with a bunch of faceless dudes.
Right.
I thought there'd be like some consequences, as being part of that school. But she just kind of like took all their skills and all their knowledge, and then she just left with no repercussions whatsoever. Am I remembering that correctly?
I've always thought that she would basically somehow use that faceless magic to make her way into King's Landing and probably kill Cersei. I can envision her.
I doubt that.
No, I know. I honestly, I can envision her.
Well, who knows how these writers are screwing up the show at this point?
But I always felt that's where it was going, was that she's going to use change her face to sneak into King's Landing or somewhere. Sure. Maybe pretend to be, I don't know, like Jamie or I don't know, somebody, and that's how she will go in and kill Cersei.
Did they ever say where Arya is going with the Hound in the last episode? Did they?
I think I assumed she was going to King's Landing. She said she has unfinished business.
Why didn't she go with everyone else? You know, why did she?
She said there was a line in there where she says, "I don't like crowds." So she's always been kind of a wanderer for most of the series. She's kind of been alone, with either her and the Hound or her by herself. So
can we just say, how little ceremony was there for Arya after she had killed the Night King? They did not notice that she had left.
They totally brushed over that.
Yeah.
She basically saved humanity, as you know it in the show. And
they did one little toast, but the moment that she disappears, everyone's very nonchalant about the whole thing.
Because I assume the Hound is going back to King's Landing to fight
his brother, the Mountain.
So I thought he was going to King's Landing. Arya is joining him. She's obviously, going after Cersei, I think.
A quick prediction for the Hound. He and the Mountain are going to kill each other. But the Hound is going to die probably protecting Arya in some sort of way. I feel like that is his complete
That's
story.
Likely. Yeah. I can see something like that happen.
Yeah. And maybe the irony will go full circle. Maybe the Mountain will die by fire or something. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Or by a dragon's fire.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, all right. Moving on to Daenerys. All right. Can I just say that I think Daenerys has become quite an annoying character.
I've said that since like day one. I've never liked her.
But there are a lot of criticisms of Daenerys, and yet. She has been a very democratic leader throughout this whole thing. I think every single mistake that she has actually had is all due to the advice of her advisors. Daenerys, what's the little one, Tyrion? Like Tyrion was the one to kind of. I don't remember the specifics, but I feel like Tyrion was kind of the reason that Daenerys lost her dragons, right? And Daenerys has always been the one to allow Cersei to peacefully come to terms with giving up the throne, but Tyrion has always been the one to promote her to take action on certain things, and it's always led to Daenerys kind of losing footing.
See, I don't know. I've kind of had the opposite thought, is that I don't really think that she is very much of a democratic leader. If you're very much of a democratic leader, then you shouldn't have to rule by the threat or the fear of your dragons. Right. It's the dragons that makes her command respect. Right. It's the reason why people submit and bend the knee, because she has dragons, right? And as you've seen over the last season, she's losing her dragons and she's losing her power. Without her dragons, she has no actual.
But hasn't she been painted as a good counterpoint to Cersei, who is ruling by fear? Cersei's one who doesn't really care about her people. People really don't like her, and and Daenerys has always gained her armies through compassion, right? The Unsullied and the Dothraki. I don't think she ever forcefully pushed them to join her. They all joined her willingly, right? Because they believed in her. Same with Tyrion, right?
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps I don't know.
But okay, so you're saying Jon will sit on the Iron Throne?
I think that's the conventional way. But
that is the conventional way.
But of course, Game of Thrones usually.
I'd say it's been getting pretty predictable in the last
few
seasons.
I think what could happen, if I'm just gonna kind of throw out a haymaker, just kind of a long shot, is that I think both Jon and Daenerys will die. Maybe they both kind of kill each other.
Whoa! Right? So who's gonna be on the Iron Throne? Tyrion?
It could be Tyrion, right? He's been a character that's been basically belittled. Who's been left without this whole series. He's been stepped on, looked over, looked down on.
But I'd say
it would be kind of like a character like him or Sansa, who've been just abused this whole series, and maybe they get their comeuppance.
But they brought something up in the last episode that was very interesting in that they had concerns about Daenerys being the holder of the Iron Throne because she was a woman, right? Which means there's some of those biases in place amongst the people. Like imagine if there was, a dwarf in the Iron Throne, there'd be a lot of issues there.
Yeah.
And I think Tyrion himself his character is very tied to the Lannister legacy, right? So I have a theory that Cersei's going to succeed in killing him somehow, some way, and we're all going to cry, we're all going to be angry. But Jaime will successfully kill Cersei, maybe in a final plea of mercy, begging her to get off the throne. But they'll probably do it in some grotesque way in which he has to kill their unborn child or something like that. Right through the gut.
Yeah.
But I think those three characters are great.
So you don't think Arya's going to kill Cersei?
No, I think Arya is probably gonna kill some other minor characters, and we'll probably hoot and holler for. But I think Cersei really belongs to Jaime. Those two characters they have to go down together in flames. I think that's what we've seen structurally.
I think it's gonna be Cersei again. I don't like anchoring everything back to the prophecies.
Yeah,
that Melisandre said, but. She's talking about how in the battle, the Long Night, episode 3, she reminded her that you're going to kill a blue-eyed person, you're going to kill a green-eyed person, and Cersei has green eyes.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's quite possible. I would say that's a very unearned ending, but that's certainly possible.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so let's talk about Bran. Bran's been going through an interesting journey.
What about him?
What is going on? What did he do during that battle? Did he just from how it was shot? What I understand, he seems to have just taken a joyride on a Raven and gotten a better view, an overhead view of the battle.
Yeah,
and he didn't really do much.
Yeah, I don't know what value he added to the battle, other than being the decoy and drawing in the Night King.
Yeah.
But I assume when he said he said something where I have to go now.
Yeah.
He was flying. He kind of started controlling the Ravens. I thought somehow he would change the course of the battle through that.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a major force to be reckoned with, but he didn't really do much. And what's sad is, I was reading a little bit about this the other day, and Bran is considered by George R.R. Martin to be one of the 5 main characters in the book. So in terms of his treatment in the show, he's not really getting much. He's really getting shat on.
This may be where, and Chris, I haven't read the books yet, and maybe I will go back and read them.
Yeah.
But maybe because I know the writers of the show had to write the finale before the final book was even concluded.
Sure.
So I don't know how much divergence the final season will be from the final book whenever that comes out. And so maybe in the book, maybe George R.R. Martin has other plans for Bran and
please. He's not gonna finish. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. He's incredibly old. He has severe writer's block. No way to satisfactorily conclude all of these different threads.
Yeah.
I think from his perspective, the ending that the fans get from the show is the ending, and he's just gonna sleep in his bed and made him millions of dollars.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good wrap for our first episode, and we'll have more Game of Thrones.
One question though.
Okay.
So, who do you think dies in the next episode?
Officially
on the record, who dies?
On the record, for placing bets, this is the penultimate episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Which has always been the biggest episode of the season. If tradition kind of goes the same way, it's always been the second to last episode of the season.
Yeah.
Where you've had major storyline changes.
All right, predictions for episode 5. I think you can't backload all the deaths in the series, so there's got to be a few that die. I think, as we mentioned, the Hound and the Mount are definitely going to have their final bout. They're both going to die. I would say it's quite possible that Arya could die. I don't see much of a point to her character to continue wandering as an assassin after this war is over. She could possibly perish. And I think maybe Tyrion Tyrion could be assassinated by Cersei or one of her goons. But I think the other two Lannisters will be safe for the final episode. I think Jon and Daenerys are also safe. And Sansa, obviously, is in Winterfell, so no harm can come about her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think Cersei and her crew were probably all gone
by episode 5.
By the end of the episode, yeah. Because I think the last episode, the series finale, is just basically going to be a battle between Jon Snow and Daenerys. So I think
interesting.
I think you have to get Cersei out of the way.
Got it. Okay, Fallout episode. Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Jared and Chris's predictions for episode 5.
Yep.
And we'll get back to you with the next episode as soon as possible.
See ya.